What up, chippers? Plays back, and today we're going to be talking about No Man's Sky and the next update, and specifically how that has now catapulted the game into the public eye, making it a monumental success. Now, we all know that when No Man's Sky originally launched back in 2016, it was met with a massive backlash. One of the worst backlashes in video games history, with the studio even receiving death threats because for many people, the game did not live up to expectation. But in the 2 years since then, Hello Games have worked non-stop to deliver free and massive updates in the forms of significant patches to the game, and these have added a whole ton of features. So they've steadily been improving the game and improving the game and improving the game without any real breaks since that initial launch. And the latest update, No Man's Sky Next, which dropped on July the 24th, is looking like a complete smash hit. Currently, at the time of me making this video, the peak in concurrent players on Steam alone is almost 100,000 players all playing at the same time. And on top of that, the game has just launched for the first time ever on both Xbox and Tencent's Wii game platforms. So these are two huge markets that the game has never been to before, and the reviews are looking overwhelmingly positive. The current Steam review score for recent reviews is very positive. The all-time review score on Steam is now mixed, and you can imagine that getting that to anything other than very negative after the original launch and the mainstream media backlash against the game is quite the feat. This recent update really does seem to have given No Man's Sky an amazing comeback, and whatever you think about that is pretty freaking interesting to see. And in fact, for the most part, the only things I'm seeing anywhere at all criticizing the game in its current state with the next update only links to a few bugs and issues that are being patched out very quickly by Hello Games. The game has only been out a couple of days and they're already on their second big patch to address some issues that have popped out, and of course in an update of this size and launching on brand new platforms, these kind of things are quite common for any big release. But what's less common is the speed at which Hello Games are fixing these issues. So all around, this is quite an amazing story and something very cool to see. And what's really interesting about this and quite telling is that the user stats, the reviews, the player counts are going up by the day. Anyone who was around at the original launch will know that commercially the game sold like crazy. It was a massive commercial success. Millions upon millions sold all across the world, and the peak in players around launch was over 200,000 concurrent players in what was at the time a single player game. However, we also know where that story ended up. After that initial launch, after the backlash, those numbers dropped off very, very quickly, and within a couple of weeks it was down to just a couple of thousand players playing. But this time around, it looks like the update is really holding people's attention, and the numbers are actually climbing up and up and up as more people see what the update has to offer, as more people experience it, and as more people realize that actually No Man's Sky is pretty freaking awesome right now. So awesome that since that update dropped on July the 24th, the game has stayed in the top game charts on Steam by player count consistently, and in fact it keeps climbing higher and higher up that ranking list. Above Team Fortress 2, above Football Manager, above Ark Survival Evolved, it's closing in on games like Warframe and Grand Theft Auto. And if it continues at the rate it's going, it really could end up topping GTA 5, at least for a period in any case, which is quite impressive and should give you a pretty good idea about just how huge this update has been and how much of a drastic overhaul and improvement to the game it has brought with it. So that's the story, that's the current situation. No Man's Sky has absolutely made a huge comeback. It has always had a loyal and dedicated fan base, a significant number of people who just absolutely love the game like no other game before it. People that are so devoted to it, people that spend thousands and thousands of hours exploring beautiful worlds, crafting, building, farming, and just generally enjoying the game for what it has always been. But now it seems like the mainstream gaming market is really getting into it with this update and enjoying it as well, which is quite the thing to see, guys. And just to give you an idea of why the game is now so good and why so many people are playing it and why that number keeps going up, and the review scores are positive, are good, let me just tell you about a couple of the big things that have been changed in No Man's Sky and why the game is seeing the success that it is right now. So of course the main thing that they added was a complete overhaul to the way that the procedural generation works in the game. The planets are just so much more interesting now than they ever were before, and many people thought they were interesting before. But this new generation has just taken that and times it by 100. The scale in the game is now awe-inspiring. You can see huge, gigantic mountains, massive trees, lush forests, genuine oceans that are really, really deep, cave systems that you can actually get lost in with winding paths, huge cavernous openings, and many different twists and turns to take. And the variety and depth of things that you can see on a single planet has really been a massive change and a huge improvement upon what the game has had up until now. I've always loved exploring the game, but I've typically gone from planet to planet, just taking in the beautiful sights, not staying for too long, and then moving on to the next one. But now, since this update dropped, I find myself getting lost for hours and hours and hours on a single planet, just wandering around, just taking in all the sights, just finding the buried treasures and artifacts, and seeing all the different types of area and continent on a single planet, looking for the lake areas, the oceans, going into the little forest patches, climbing the mountains, going down into the caves, wandering along the little beaches and the huge craters of ash and rock. It's just such a different experience, and it's really hard to put into words. But the core element of this game, the exploration, has really, really been brought to life more than ever with this update. Exploring now is just so interesting, even on a single planet, and there are over 18 quintillion of them out there to explore. So if that is the kind of thing you are looking for, this game absolutely is one that you should be picking up. Another huge change is to the base building mechanic in the game. Base building was added a couple of months after the original launch of the game, but it was quite basic. It has been expanded on slightly with every update since, but the next update has just taken down all of the limits and barriers and made it so much more interesting, to the point where right now it's the thing that I'm most excited about in the game. I cannot wait to build awesome things. The build limit in terms of the number of items you can place for a single base has been up to 20,000 individual pieces. There are hundreds of new base parts, totally different types of base parts now. You can build little wooden cabins, huge concrete castles, futuristic metal bases, and you can build anywhere. You can build under the oceans, you can build on mountains, you can build on little floating islands or deep underground. It really is insane just how drastically the building mechanic in the game has been overhauled. So if you're into that kind of thing, if building cool stuff and seeing what kind of cool bases and outposts and monuments you can put together is, then that is another thing that you're going to love about this update. They also, of course, have really fleshed out the multiplayer in the game now. One of the big concerns when the game launched, people were expecting to be able to see other players. People were expecting a bit more from the multiplayer side of things. That was expanded on. Multiplayer was added with the Atlas Rises update 1 year ago, but it was very basic. You could only see players as floating orbs. Now you can play full 4-player co-op with a group of friends or random people that just drop into your game. You can see them, you do have player models, you can customize your player models and give yourself a really cool, unique look. And you can actually interact with each other. So you can shoot each other and fight each other if you want to, and make your own settlements, towns, or cities, or bases. Or you can just explore and mess around together. And it's really, really fun, really slick, and very well implemented. And it's also something we're expecting them to expand on further as they continue to work on the game and continue to update it. So there's a lot here for people to be excited about. And that's not even close to being it. There are so many changes that have been added with this update. So many little things, so many big things. We have ringed planets now. Animal behavior has been drastically improved. They actually move around in herds. They react to you better now. They look more natural and real when they're walking around the environments. You can own a gigantic fleet of frigates and send them out on missions. The NPCs have better animations now, and they're more lifelike and interesting to talk to. Of course, third-person mode has been added, which seems to be very, very popular and is actually my favorite way to play now, which is something I wouldn't have expected before. I'd always kind of thought first-person would be more immersive and more what I was looking for, but the third-person view just feels so right in this game and really lets you appreciate the gigantic scale of everything around you. There are new creature types. There are biological horrors that actually add some danger to the game and real fear. If you touch their eggs, they will come after you in swarms and attack you and hunt you down. The sentinel behavior has been overhauled. You can actually get into quite intense chases now if the sentinels are coming after you, where you'll have to actually run away, and then once you're out of their line of sight, you have to find a place to hide for just over 30 seconds to actually be able to evade them. And that's just scraping the surface of what's been added with this update, Then add to that, we know that we are getting more updates. Hello Games have said that they are going to continue to develop the game for free. They're not going to be adding in anything like microtransactions or paid DLC. We are going to see more free updates, significant updates in the future, as well as a move to more regular, smaller updates in the form of weekly content patches and actual community events taking place, being set up and being organized by the studio themselves. So that probably gives you a bit of an idea about why the game is suddenly everywhere. Everybody is talking about this. People are really enjoying it. People are praising it. The review scores are positive. And the player counts and stats have just completely skyrocketed. And of course, if you want to see a whole ton more content on the update, on the game itself, you've come to the right place. I've got over 200 episodes of No Man's Sky gameplay on my channel. I am now playing through a No Man's Sky Next series, starting again from the beginning on the Xbox One X. I will also be playing on PC and PS4 Pro, as well as covering any news and updates that come out. So yeah, definitely stick around if you want to see more. And if you did like this video, please do drop a like and a comment. That stuff really helps. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Take care, guys, and peace. Just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of my current Patreon supporters: Shiraka Majelli, YO, Madeline J, NTB, Ovin S, Tyler D, Todd Cook, Neil B, Anarchy, Vanilla, Rasmus K, Autumn Long, Lukash, Husband Vader, Amras, Dale from the Atlas Hub, Ty the Blazer, Joanne Anderson, Heath, The Portrait Dude, Akami, Mac for a Day, Ongrad, and Dead D Reza. You guys are the best.